Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, it's like 6:30 this morning. It's my favorite time in the morning. Still waking up, clearing my throat. What I want to do today is discuss my new hobby. I've just gone all in. So, yeah, I'm brand new to the gardening game. I don't know much about it, but I learn fast and I can try new things. I'm not afraid to try things, so this is what we got. So a few months ago, my daughter approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to do like a raised bed garden or something this year?" I was like, "Sure. I have no idea how to garden, but let's give it a whirl." And that led me to my first little dive in because I get impatient. That's one thing that I don't have is patience. And I think the first thing that happened to me was I just got the itchy trigger finger, and I got on the internet and started looking at things and discovered this Easy Grow garden system. And it's very, very cool. Let me give you a quick overview. This is the Easy Grow garden system, and what it's comprised of is 5 transversely arranged pots with a center shaft and a little watering cup on top. See if I can get you in there. And that watering cup sifts the water down through the dirt, and it basically waters all the plants and all the pots all the way down. And down on the bottom there's a reservoir that holds 4 or 5 gallons of water. Actually it holds officially 7 gallons of water, but I put about 4 or 5 gallons at a time with some nutrients, and that watering system automatically waters these plants. I'll turn it on for you. It automatically waters these plants at different settings and time intervals throughout the day as I set it. Now I've got mine set up to water every 2 hours for about 2 minutes, but you can set them differently how you need to. You can change it on the fly as well. And they did have a timer system that came with these. I aborted the timer system because I didn't like having to set it up or losing my settings, but I did go with a smart switch. You can use either like a Bluetooth smart switch, or you could use like a Smart Things or a smart home type switch, and you could program it that way. Or you could just turn it on manually off and on throughout the day as you think about it if you want. You could do it that way too. So anyway, pretty nice system. It grows a lot of food, and I wanted to take you through a quick tour of my garden. But first, I wanted to show you, I had some birds getting after my strawberries. That's my rodent resistance here. What's cool about the two things that I have here is this unit is a high frequency emitter. So it has different settings, but when it senses somebody close, it will flash a light and it will emit a high frequency sound, and the theory is it scares off rodents. So far I haven't had any rabbits or squirrels eating anything. The other thing I have is these eyes here. So if you cover this, you notice those eyes blink. So at night those eyes are always blinking, and it's supposed to emulate like a threat to these little rodents. Both of these have solar, so it's a set and forget situation. So I put them in here, and if anything approaches my garden, including me, I don't know if you can hear that high frequency, but some people can hear it, some people can't, but it's supposed to really annoy the animals. So that's the theory anyway. I'm trying to do everything I can without having to physically abuse the animals. But let me show you the other thing I have right here. Watch when I get closer, you're going to see this thing take off. Probably going to get me. It's going to get me. Oh, it almost got me. So I have this sprinkler system set up to automatically discharge when it senses motion. It's a kit that you buy from Amazon, so it's nothing that I created. But yeah, let me go cut off the water over here, and I'll show you around on my garden. So when I first started my garden, I didn't know what I wanted to grow and how I wanted to grow it. So I just started reading some books, and I started trying to educate myself on how to do this stuff. But let's start from the very left, and we'll go through the whole thing, and I'll talk you through some of the decisions I made. Hopefully these high-pitched frequency noisemakers won't be coming through on the video. So a lot of the things that I have out here now were growing in my Easy Grow garden pots, but I transplanted them. So one of them is My mint here is a little bit of, actually it's a lot of mint in this bucket. I decided not to plant that with the other plants because they say mint can get out of control. This plant right here is a borage plant, and it's good for, they call it a butterfly tree, a bush, a butterfly tree or whatever. It puts out these really pretty purple flowers, and you can actually make teas and do different things with this plant. And it's really good. It brings a lot of bees and butterflies, and it's cool. Helps you pollinate your crops. Up front I just stuffed a couple of things of lettuce. These I've been pulling off of all winter. It's probably time to recharge and replant. But those are the lettuces I have up here. I have a little tiny Tom tomato. I think this is a determinate because it's already done. It looks like it's laying on the ground, but really what happened was I had it in the Easy Grow tower. And the way the root system was set up, I had to plant it this way. But it is actually still putting on new growth and new fruit. So I'm pretty happy, and I think I see my first tomato turning red. So that's cool. And it is May like 14th right now. So here's 2 tomato plants that I transplanted right out of the Easy Grow garden system. You can see I got some cold weather burn on these leaves early on, but I'm putting out new growth, so I'm pretty confident these are gonna pull through and do fine. And I'm getting new buds and flowers, and I created this trellis system here. I don't know if you can see the strings, but they go from top to bottom. It's about 6 feet. Let me back out. It's about 6 feet tall, and it's braced up. It's not super sturdy strong, but it should be enough to guide these tomato plants to a taller position as the year goes through. I do have some growth coming on back here, so some tomatoes are on their way. I planted these potatoes in March, and I didn't think they were going to go. I planted them very deep, and I planted them very cold weather. So I thought, oh, I'm going to have to replant these. It wasn't expensive. It was like $4 or $5 for all the seed potatoes. But as you can see, I have no issue with potato plants right now. They finally came up through the dirt, and I just keep watering them. I don't overwater. I just water them, once maybe a week, and make sure the dirt stays semi-moist, but I don't think potatoes like a super wet dirt. So I just hilled up. Hilling is something you do as the plants grow taller. You put dirt around the base. I just hilled these up. I'm not going to have a whole lot of hilling capabilities with these plants because I'm about out of pot space. But anyway, that's is what it is. But it looks like each of these bags should probably yield, probably 2/3 of a regular potato bag. Like 10 or 12, fist or smaller than fist-sized potatoes. But I'll take whatever it gives me. It's a science experiment for me for now. So that's the deal. So let's go in here and look at something kind of cool. I have some strawberries coming along, and we'll look at those closer in a minute. But here's another indeterminate tomato system that I was growing in the Easy Grow garden in the garage, and it got a little out of hand. So one thing that you'll notice about these pots is they're very forgiving on the vine of the tomato. They don't kink as they grow out and over, so you don't have to worry too much about it. And while we're here, let's take a look at some ripening tomatoes. So I'll be picking those off soon. So I think I'm going to have some cherry tomatoes coming out of here pretty quickly. I put this out like second week of April when we thought we were in the clear from a frost, and we were in the clear from a frost, but what we weren't clear from is heavy rains and 40-degree weather, and that actually did not bode well for tomato plants. So anyway, this is my Easy Grow garden tower of tomatoes that I started back in February. So they started as seeds in February, and now they're massive. And I got little cherry tomatoes, and I have these other ones down here that are called like Early Surprise or something like that, and they're like 2-inch tomatoes. All of these are going to be good for like salads and stuff. So over here I have some transplanted Swiss chard here and here, but this Swiss chard is planted in the garden this year, so that's already doing pretty good. I really like this. To me, Swiss chard is a spinach replacement, 100%. And I like the fact that they have stalks and other parts of the plant that can be used and cooked. So it's kind of like to me, it's like a cross between like a bok choy and a spinach and and they call it the leaf beet because it has kind of a beet flavor. In here you can see some arugula. It's a little bit bolting because I've been growing that for a while now, and I had some basil in here early and it looked like it got stung a little bit by the cold. So one thing you can do is, if you have to buy basil at the store, they sell it in a pot with roots, and this is a basil plant that I bought from the grocery store that I just put in my garden. Over here is some thyme. I think this is summer savory, and that is rosemary. And this is, what is this? Sage. And this is oregano. And this is some cilantro, which is bolting, so I'm going to have to replant a couple of cilantro seeds. I didn't know cilantro was actually what provided coriander seeds, and that the coriander seeds were a result of the bolting cilantro. So you learn stuff as you garden. Again, here's some more tomato plants that I put in early. You can see some leaf damage from the cold, but I see new growth on top, and it's staying pretty dark green. This plant as well wasn't doing well. This one, I don't know if he's going to make it, but I clipped off all the bad to see if he could pull through. They all seem to be pulling through this cold snap pretty well. That's a nice thing about tomato plants, is they're fairly resilient. So here's some transplanted tomatoes that they've actually been transplanted twice. I moved them around in the easy grow pots, and then I moved them once I got them out here in the garden. And I've gotten new growth on these even since transplanting to the garden. And this whole tomato section is in a cage. Let's back off here. I built a cage with strings on all sides. So whatever plants don't make it, I guess I'll just head to the nursery and replace them with some pretty healthy plants. But yeah, it was a bummer. It didn't take well, but there's time. It's a good thing about gardening. There's a little bit of time. So some pepper plants that I've planted. And this is one my friend gave me that got torn up pretty good with the cold weather, and lost a few leaves, but I think it might make it. And here's some radishes that I planted. Now on either side of these radishes, in between these sticks right here, I should have some carrots, but I'm not getting any carrot tops. Oh, I lied. There's my first carrot top popping through, I think. Yeah. Oh, there's some little guys. So I think the carrots will make it. Take some. Oh, there's a couple right there. Oh yeah, I'm panicking for no reason. I have planted a few things in between in these spots, but I don't remember what I planted. I believe this is like a zucchini here in the middle. I've got some spinach going along at this point, and some kale. The kale's doing real nice. And again, this is the strawberry tower, the other easy grow system that I've got going. And then back here, I believe this is cucumber, and that's cucumber. I don't remember what's here. I forget what I put there. That's why you put those little sticks to say what you're growing. Now these are beans, I know that. These guys are like Jack and the Beanstalk popping through. So one of the things I did set up, you might want to consider to make life easier, is I have this watering, diverter. And basically I can turn the water off to different devices by just turning those knobs. For example, this is my potato watering tube, and I could just turn that on and all my potatoes get watered until I turn that off. And then this is the hose for my motion sensored sprinkler. This is the hose for my sprayer, and got an extra one there for another motion sensor if I end up needing it with these animals. This is my whole garden set up. It's not beautiful. I did try to keep it looking as nice as I could because I know the neighbors don't want to look at just trash. So I try to keep bags and buckets and things like that out of the view. Got a little woodpecker going there. So that's it. This is my experiment. So I got my hands full. This is fun to kind of walk out, sip coffee, dig around in the dirt, play a little bit, have some failures, successes. But I think all in all, this is going to be fun. And if you look at my neighborhood, nobody can kind of see this whole system. And I've got a lot of room back here. I'm actually thinking of doing some fruit trees. maybe along this section here because I get good sun exposure. I get a nice little ravine of water through here, so the soil stays nice. So I might plant a few fruit trees, and I want a fig tree. I don't know, do figs like semi-shade or do they like bright sun? Because I'm thinking up against that corner window there where that pipe is. And I've also considered around back here. Now, my sun comes up. Let's turn, okay, my back is to my garden. The sun comes up here, basically heads through the sky in that fashion. So I get about a 10:30 or a 10 to 2:30. But as soon as the sun gets a little forward, those trees on the corner at the top there kind of block my sun to this garden. So the tomatoes do okay. They get like 4 or 5 hours of just straight up sun. The strawberries and the other plants, like, you know, your lettuces and your leafies, they don't need, you know, all day sun. But I'm worried about things like beans, peppers, things that really like sun, you know, if they're going to do well. But we'll see. You know, it is what it is. I can't make the sun hit me at a different place because it is, you know, my house is where it's going to be. One thing I did have a question on is I have this whole corner here which I'd like to turn into some kind of beds. And I was going to ask you guys as viewers, would leafy greens do well? I mean, you're literally talking two hours of sun in the morning, and then you just have that ambient brightness back here in this corner. Would leafy greens grow in that scenario? And then back here along the back of my house, what would work under those windows? And I mean, I'm talking not a lot of sun at all there. You might get like an hour in the morning, and then that's it. You're gonna have just kind of like a, you know, like it's bright, but it's not direct sunlight. So would leafy greens, lettuces, things like that grow? Or is there something that will do better in the shade? I know it's kind of an oxymoronic question, like, hey, what things grow good in the garden when it doesn't get sun on it? That would be like nothing. But there's got to be something I can do. So let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for coming on the tour. Yeah, so it's crazy to me that this Easy Grow Garden initial, you know, gardening kick led to all of this other stuff, and it's going to grow. I can promise you. Like when I go into a hobby, I go big or go home, you know. So you should see my fishing tackle wall in my garage. So I do a lot of fishing. I love the outdoors, but I don't get a chance to do anything like really extreme. So I just do stuff local, suburbia, ponds, pond fishing, little lakes around my house, and you know, try to make as much of a oasis for myself as I can at my house. Luckily, I back into a cul-de-sac, so I have like a wooded backyard, as you can see behind me. So I do have privacy, and I have nice noises and birds and all that stuff. So I'm grateful. But any gardening advice or tips that you guys have would be appreciated. I am open, all ears. So I look forward to talking to you guys more in the future and doing more gardening. And I'll share with you my successes and failures. Wish me luck. Later.